Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful, such a beautiful surprise and gift this morning. Like white paradise. You look Buddha this morning. Actually, we are all Buddha. Hello, Buddha. I will ask, what do you want the most in your life? What do you want your life to be like? Everyone wants to be happy. Everybody works hard and tries to make money for a happier life. How can you become happier? Would you be happy if you have a lot of knowledge? Would you be happy if you have a lot of money? Would you be happy if you are very good looking? Would you be happy if you graduate from a good college? Of course, these things can be some conditions for happiness. But these external conditions do not guarantee a happier life in the long run. Where does true happiness come from? When I was young, my school teacher explained the difference between optimism and pessimism. Let me tell you a story. There were two people traveling in the desert with one bottle of water. They drank a half of the bottle. The pessimist saw the bottle as being half empty and got worried. The optimist saw the same bottle as being half full and was happy. This story still remains a vivid memory. As we live our lives, that kind of story actually happens in our life. I recently went on a business trip to Chicago and the flight was delayed. I waited at the airport for 6 hours. Actually, I used to be stuck in an airport several times before. Several months ago, when I went to Austin, Texas, the same situation happened. However, at this time, my feeling was quite different from that time. When I went to Austin, my flight was delayed, both on the way to Austin and on the way back. I waited at the airport almost all day long. At that time, I couldn't accept the situation and I felt very uncomfortable. My mind was disturbed and uneasy. The waiting time seemed to be so long. I used the situation to study my mind, and I eventually felt gratitude for having the opportunity to practice. However, on my Chicago trip, I waited comfortably without needing to practice mind study. The waiting time seemed shorter for me. Both situations were similar, but the first situation made me feel uncomfortable, while the second situation did not. Why? What's the reason? It was because at this time my mind status was different from the first time. Depending on our mind, we perceive things very differently. Depending on your mind, sometimes you might like your spouse, sometimes not. You might like your friend, sometimes not. Let me give you another example. I usually feel that the One Dharma Center is a beautiful place, like a paradise. Isn't it? But there are times when I feel that it's not beautiful. Instead, I become annoyed when something goes wrong here. It's the mind that is the root of our happiness and sorrow. So Buddha taught the Dharma that all things are created by the mind. Once we know this Dharma, we will also discover the principle of neither arising nor ceasing, and the karmic principle of cause and effect. Buddhism originally teaches one to awaken and realize the Dharma, that all things are created by the mind. And Sotaesan, our master, emphasized the Dharma of applying the mind in our daily life properly. So when Buddhism teaches the Dharma of how to use the mind, this is not just the head, but also the heart and soul. Knowing the mind is not enough. It is more important to use it properly in everyday life. For example, here is a cell phone. There are a lot of functions, but I use only a few simple ones. Even though you know all the cell phone's functions, if you don't use them, the phone is worthless. So what is importance is to use the mind properly in every life. That's the true meditation practice. You had a lot of subjects to study when you were in school, right? When I was a schoolgirl, I had to study many subjects like Korean, math, physics, chemistry, history, ethics, even English, etc. As we live, we need a lot of information and have to learn many things continuously. But there are limitations to using what you learn in those subjects. Do you keep using the knowledge you have at every moment? You use it only when it is necessary. When I came to America, I needed to learn English. Speaking English became very important for me, but actually I don't use English that much. Of course, this moment I really want to speak English very well. Sorry about that. But I don't have to use English when eating. I don't have to use English when sleeping. I don't have to use English when meditating. I can survive without English most of the time. Similarly, even if we study all of these academic subjects, we don't use what we learn all the time. But if we learn how to use our mind and practice, we can continuously use that training in each and every moment. So, mind study and practice is the foundation of all studies and practice. Mind study and practice can truly make you live a happy life. You cannot live a true happy life without the mind practice. How should we practice mind study? Sotaesan, our master, said, we should keep our minds free from disturbances, delusions, or wrongdoings when facing sensory conditions or challenging situations. Does your mind have disturbances or not? Not? Having the disturbances of the mind is normal or not? Disturbances are like the wind blowing over clouds and the rain arising in the sky, like snowing today. Disturbances that arise from time to time are very normal. They are a part of the natural process. We can practice deep meditation when we have those disturbances in our mind. Whenever you are faced with these disturbances, you should realize it's time to practice mind study. You should welcome those disturbances and difficulties. For mind study, you need to stop your mind for a moment and breathe deeply. When your friend speaks bad words to you, take a pause and take a deep breath. When you get mad, stop for a moment and take a deep breath. When you feel uneasy, stop for a moment and look into your mind. When you are desperate, upset, and sad, when you are lonely, stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and observe your mind. Then these disturbances will gradually disappear, and you will get to know the principle of the mind and universal truth. This is the way you can become free from disturbances and delusions and obtain a wisdom. Then you can do right and correct actions. Thus, in this way, you can become free from wrongdoings, free from disturbances, free from delusions, free from wrongdoings. These three mind-checking practices help you to awakening to the truth and use that truth. This is the genuine mind study. Last time I came back from Korea, I was wide awake at night and couldn't sleep at all. On the first night, I did some work and read books comfortably. I enjoyed it. On the second night, I didn't fall asleep quickly again. I thought it was a good time to meditate, and I practiced sitting meditation comfortably. Still enjoy it. On the third night, I got worried. What should I do if my night and days got mixed up for a long time? I was just lying down meditating. Doing some physical exercises was conducive to sleeping, and the breathing exercise were also conducive to sleeping. But I had a sleepless night again. That was the first time in my life for me to be sleepless for 3 nights in a row. That made me really worried. And I got tired in my mind and body. Then, at that time, I realized again it was a good time for me to do mind practice. So I checked my mind against the essential dharmas of daily practice. My name is Hyo-chul Kim. Hyo-chul Kim's mind is originally free from disturbances, fatigue, and worry. But disturbances, fatigue, worry arise in response to sensory conditions of insomnia. Let us restore equanimity of the self-nature by letting go of those disturbances, fatigue, and worry. When I checking my mind like this, I could see clearly my mind being troubled by disturbances, fatigue, and worry. When observing my mind without any judgment, I could accept my mind as it was. I began to feel comfortable. What is giving rise to the equanimity of the self-nature? How should we restore the equanimity of the self-nature? Is it to push the disturbances out of our mind? Is it to remove uneasy feelings out of our minds? Is it to get rid of worries? We can give rise to the equanimity of the self-nature by simply observing our minds as they are, and by accepting our minds as they are. But giving rise to or restoring the equanimity of the self-nature once is not enough. After a while, I couldn't fall asleep again, and the worries came back to me. Oh no. I began to check my mind again. The mind practice is not to worry about the occurrences of disturbances in our minds. Why am I worried again? Why do I get uneasy again? Instead of feeling disturbed and worried, I should observe my mind. Aha! It's time for the mind practice. Not crying. Aha! I am feeling uneasy again. Still happy. Whenever my mind gets uneasy over needless worries, I have only to accept my mind as it is. That's restoring the equanimity of the self-nature in its entirety. Aha! This is true. This, I know song. This. This is meditation. This is original mind. What was the hardest thing for you? What is your problem right now? I will solve the problem. What was your problem before? Look at yourself. Look into your mind. Hold in your mind the thing that disturbs you the most. Did you see it? Think about the sensory conditions or trying situations again and feel them. What kinds of emotions are arising? Does anybody want to share it? Is it tough to share with others? Hatred, sorrow, envy, anger, desperation, loneliness, pain, sad, upset. I know very well. I experience a lot also. There are many feelings in our lives. These emotions may be coming up. Just look at those emotions. Are those emotions yourself? Those emotions were not originally in your mind. How do they arise in your mind? Are these emotions in your mind forever? Do you think so? They will disappear eventually. Khalil Gibran. How to say English pronounce? We say Khalil Gibran. Khalil Gibran said, wait completely. If your waiting is total, one day your ship is going to come to take you back to your origin. Here are Solomon's wise words. This too shall pass. Please do not struggle against your emotions arising in your mind. Just look at your mind as it is and accept your mind as it is. If you keep reflecting on your mind this way again and again, then at a certain moment you will know, that's natural function of my mind as it is. This process is understanding and practicing the essential dharmas of daily practice. The mind is originally free from disturbance, delusion, and wrongdoing. But disturbances, delusions, and wrongdoings arise in response to sensory conditions. Let us give rise to the equanimity, the wisdom, and the precepts of the self-nature by letting go of those disturbances, delusions, and wrongdoings. Will you check your mind based on these essential dharmas, considering your situation? For example, when you get mad, you can check your mind like this. My mind, you can put your name here also. My mind is originally free from anger. Originally free from anger. But anger arises in response to something that we call sensory condition. For example, you can put there, when I heard my friend saying bad things about me, or when somebody disturbs my silence in sitting meditation, let us give rise to the equanimity of the self-nature by letting go of this anger. Whenever you are faced with sensory conditions, you must check your mind. That is the way you will practice mind study ceaselessly. This is the way you practice timeless meditation and playless meditation. Mind practice is the method that leads to the achievement of freedom of mind through awakening to one's original nature. This original nature is free from dualistic thoughts or attachment. It is the way that can be practiced right now, amidst all kinds of sensory conditions or challenging situations. Mind practice begins when our mind is disturbed and has lost its center. That is good chance. The starting point for mind practice is to observe our mind without any denial or fight. We have to make peace with our mind first, where all things arise. This is the great way to get freedom of mind in the middle of difficult situations. So we can practice meditation or use mind practice whenever or wherever we are, whether it is quiet or noisy, doesn't matter. Life itself is a study, mind study. Life gives us a chance to build up our strengths. Through a great opening of our spiritual practice, you can live a happy life as if you are in paradise. I wish you all a happier life of paradise. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. And can you read the mind diary? So you can comment a little bit.
Yeah, this is from two elementary school students. They're journaling its situation and response. This is in the middle of the situation, the response. The other one is after the situation. So TV and checking with the mind. Today I checked and practiced my mind. This is what I did. The children's program on TV was over, and I wanted to see the next program. But I thought, no, for I am originally a good man. I was very pleased to control my mind so well. But I'm going to be more careful because the disturbance may take place according to different situations. I will check my mind more carefully until I no longer need to. That's the first one. Second, this is elementary school. Today, I came to Suki Farm for practice. When leaving, I felt happy, and my mind was excited by the thought that I would have practice with friends. But when seeing that kids were playing, running around, and chatting noisily, my expectations disappeared, and I got mad. But after I learned the practice of seeing and checking the mind, I felt sorry for myself. If I check and see my mind well, hatred will disappear. But along with it, happiness also disappeared. Today's annoying thing was the kids running around and shouting. In the future, in whatever I do, I will look at and check my mind well.
We can like them. They are Korean young children. We can practice or record mind diary next retreat. This time is so short time. Yeah, at that time we can practice and we can more meditate about that mind recording. So this time I will give you some paper for that, and then you can write there, and then bring here, and then we can conversation more, and then your meditation will go deeper and deeper. So after this Dharma service, maybe in the conclusion time, we will give you the paper. Thank you so much.